Hello you people, this is MNU4J and we are starting the stream for today. There will be no face cam today because we are having a bit of technical difficulties with that, and yeah, so let's start. Today we'll be doing what is this Discovery Tour in Assassin's Creed Origin, and we have done Alexandria for the first, and then we finished the pyramids. It was kind of tedious, kind of a bit too much information, and some information were not so clear, so we had to struggle a little bit about this. So I think doing daily life would be fun. It is a long pretty yeah, very much, what is the word I'm forgetting, it is kind of long, so it could be fun or it could not be, but we will only know when we start. So let's do it. Let's do the first one. So yeah, still teleporting, just we should wait here. Okay, we have now teleported, and where are we? So are we near to Siva? Yes, we are in Siva, on the western side of the hills. Okay, let's see. So we initiate it over here. Okay, so this is Orestes, the first mummy. How is that the first mummy? Okay, so understand the significance of mummies for ancient Egyptian. Let's do it.
To Osiris, the first mummy.
Osiris. It's not Orestes, it's Osiris. So let's continue. Let's see.
The oldest mummies recovered date from the Old Kingdom, though Egyptologists believe that mummification was in use much earlier than that. At first, the body was mummified through environmental desiccation, by leveraging the dryness of the environment and the heat of the climate. Early experimentations in mummification were conducted with the use of resin made from tree sap. Strips of linen were only used on some superficial parts of the epidermis of the hands or jaw.
Okay, we have seen this one. This is a reconstruction. This is not a real mummy. We have talked about it. So they used to dry out the mummies before. They didn't use chemicals and the white stuff. We have seen in the game they are mining that white stuff from some mountain. So here's the body, I guess, and is this mummified? Kind of. It also has its clothes, but it's pretty much open. Maybe the coffin has been destroyed by the grave diggers and robbers, but I don't know. So this is yeah, we can see some man-made structure here. This is definitely a cave and a man-made structure built right in here. So let's go inside and find out. We have been here, if I'm right, like in the very beginning of the mission. We have been here. Let's continue.
Ideologically, the will to preserve the body is not explained in any way until 3600 BCE. This is when the Egyptian belief that the body housed the soul was finally documented for modern Egyptologists to eventually decipher. It was not until the arrival of the myth of Osiris in the Egyptian religion around the 5th dynasty that mummification was thoroughly conceptualized. The practice was thereafter grounded in both a mythological and ideological point of view.
Okay, so we are seeing some hieroglyphics, but not so sure what it is about. So this checkpoint is about the concept of preserving the body, written documentation about it, and so they found it way later, and previously it's not been mentioned anywhere. So 5th dynasty Osiris, inscription in the King Una's tomb. In less inscription, this pyramid. Okay, this is different language by Gaston Maspero, 1849, University of Toronto, Canada. So maybe it means about preserving some body, I think, but only the person who knows hieroglyphics can say this. What we see is an eye and a rabbit and a few scribbly lines, so can't make anything much from it. So let's continue. Maybe there are further checkpoints which will help us understand this mystery.
Osiris was mainly known as the god of the dead and the god of resurrection.
Osiris.
The most well-known Genesis myth concerning Osiris is that of his dismemberment.
So, god of death. Interesting. The statues of Osiris, ancient Egypt. He looks humble. He doesn't look like a god of death. Okay, so in Egyptian culture, death is not the ending. It's an actual new beginning and getting unified with the gods. So it is a good thing. So the god of death is humble looking. That can be explained. We can accept that. And are there 3 versions of it? Not so sure. Let's continue. Like all 3 of them are Osiris. Not so sure. Ancient Egypt, it doesn't say anything about it. Okay, let's continue.
It is Plutarch who gives the most simplified and complete summary of the story. Within Egyptian mythology, Osiris represented the first king to rule Egypt. Jealous of his power, his brother Seth attempted to usurp his throne. After several unsuccessful attempts, Seth succeeded in killing his brother by dismembering him and scattering the pieces of his body all over Egypt. Isit, the great of magic, traveled all over Egypt in search of the pieces of her husband's body. After a long search, she recovered all the pieces save for his manhood, as it was eaten by a fish.
Well, that is a kind of creepy story. So this is the statue of Osiris, Ptolemaic era, photo by Grand Palais. Okay. So this is an actual statue. It looks like it's made out of wood or something, but it has metal in hand. So maybe the actual statue is in metal, but texture looks like wood. Interesting. Let's continue. So I hear some funny sounds, but not so sure where is it coming from. Let's continue.
Isit then reassembled the body of her husband by binding it together with strips of linen.
Wow.
Aided by her sister Nephthys, another powerful magician, they gave Osiris the breath of life. This not only brought him back from the dead, but also allowed him to recover his virility long enough to impregnate Isit, thus ensuring his succession before, once more, dying.
Wow.
Thus Horus was born.
That is an epic story. Like, it could be completely fake, but interesting. Like, at that time, that would be a definite king or ruler. Like, people will respect him that he came back from dead. And the statue is interesting. So the ladies have definitely ruled the Egypt from the very beginning. The statue of Isis and Horus, Ptolemaic era, Metropolitan Museum of Art, New York. Okay, so let's continue. Interesting to know. I didn't know this story.
The ritual used to bring Osiris back to life essentially depicts how he became the first mummy. It is why, on the sarcophagi of kings, we often find Isit and Nephthys represented as the magicians who restore life to the deceased.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's check out the artwork. So, Carnosumis or Honosums, I'm pronouncing it right, offering to Rehorkati, Osiris, Isis, and Nephthys, 19th dynasty photo. Okay, so I think they are performing the ritual for bringing back the dead. And what are these? Looks like body parts. It could be. Yeah, let's continue. Okay, our job here is done. Let's just look around for just quenching our curiosity. Maybe something interesting is around here. Nothing interesting. We will have to just get out. Let's jump to the next door. Go to passport and daily life. Let's start this one. So where are we now? So this is about the mummies of ancient Egypt. Quite a lot number of stations. So we are on the eastern part of the map, well away from Siva, like southeastern kind of. So this is what is this name? We can't read it. Enheb Hajet Nom. Hopefully we are pronouncing the name right. So let's start with the door to find out details. So we are going inside the temples now. We are still exploring the first mummies, about its origin and how the process of mummification started and how it got so organized to building up the actual pyramids. So let's start.
Welcome to Mummies of Ancient Egypt.
Okay.
The
artwork is same.
mummification process used by ancient Egyptians was highly ceremonial in nature. The different types of mummification took into account the social level and richness of the deceased and even included animals. The most expensive was that reserved for the pharaoh and the royal family, as well as some of the wealthiest members of the court.
Here is an interesting thing. Like, it says that the mummification process was different for everyone. So like these ones, it's kind of decorated and there is a face sculpted on them. The face is pretty different, I assume, but this face and this face looks the same. Maybe the face are casted by some dye, maybe. So I don't know. So they were not custom made for the actual body. Okay, so what about this? I found this one interesting. Like, it's a painted face here. So there are some coffins or mummies with the face painted on them. This is an interesting way of doing it. Like, we could understand how they used to look. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, another one. Interesting. And what about this? Yeah, this is how we know how the mummies should be, like the royal ones. Interesting. Let's continue the tour and find out more. So what is this place? Is this a temple, and why are all these coffins placed in front of it? I think this is a cemetery or thing like that. Like, people when are dead, they come over here, or when they plan to make the pyramid, or like pre-plan before their death how their bodies will be treated. I think it's like that. So okay, here we have some statues and there is a mummification process going on here. So yeah, so all the bodies are brought here. There is a body over here too. So let's initiate this checkpoint and then understand what's happening.
The first step was cleaning. Once bodies arrived at the mummification site, they were placed on inclined tables while the bodily fluids drained away.
Okay.
They were then cleansed by priests until they were deemed ready for the purification process.
Now he's just squashing out the blood, I guess. So this is kind of creepy. Let's check this out. What is this? Stula to carry purification water. Okay, this is to carry the holy water. Dedicated to the Osiris, Isis, Horus, and Amun. Late period photo. Okay. So this thing has been around a lot of dead bodies at the time. Kind of creepy to think about it, but it is beautiful. Like, people would use it to decorate, but that would be a very expensive decoration. And also, if you believe in ghosts and things like that, then this will be a disaster. Let's check the next checkpoint.
The purification of the body began with a libation from sacred water. The priest then fumigated the body with terebinth resin. After the ritual cleansing, priests used oils, spices, and all kinds of essences to further purify the body of the deceased.
Wow.
Finally, all body hair was meticulously removed.
All body hair. So this is a kind of another utensil used in the purifying process. What is this? Nemset libation vase, 18th dynasty. Interesting. Okay. It doesn't say anything more. Maybe it is used to pour the oil or water. Maybe it could be anything. Interesting to know. Yeah, okay, let's continue. Where to next? Over this side. So this is a pretty beautiful cemetery, I have to say that. A kind of temple where the mummification process is done. Very beautiful.
Once the body was properly purified, embalmers removed the organs, following very specific procedures. First, the brain was extracted by inserting a spoon through the nostril to break the ethmoid bone. Then, using a spatula, the pieces of the brain were removed as thoroughly as possible.
So they were
what
removed
matter
by
remained
pieces.
was extracted after a process of liquefaction, achieved through the use of a caustic liquid. The cranial box, once emptied, was rinsed and disinfected with palm wine, and then stuffed with strips of linen cloth and liquefied resin.
Whoa, that is harsh. Like, I can't see animals getting killed, so it's a bit harsh to check out a body if it's being like chopped off and things being brought out, organs and things like that. So I don't know, let's have a look in here. So these are the tools that they used. So we see a bandage, some kind of tool. I don't know, it's made out of gum. And this is the spatula, maybe. There is some number written here, number 10. I don't know. If you see this here, we can see clearly 10. And I don't know, maybe it's placed later on, because this tool is that ancient, and I don't think they used numericals like us. They have a totally different script, different way of writing, like hieroglyphics, so they would never use these letters. So something fishy here. I'm not so sure what's happening. And the other tools are pretty much basic, like they are mud pots and vessels. The bandage, we know they had linen and cotton, so not a big deal here. This one is mysterious. It doesn't say anything. It just says bronze hook and evisceration tools, whatever that means. National Museum of Antiquities, Leiden. Okay, let's continue. Interesting. Let's have a closer look on the body.
After taking care of the brain, embalmers made an incision on the left flank and carefully set aside the viscera. The inside of the body was also rinsed with palm wine.
Palm wine.
Then the embalmers filled the belly with pure myrrh, cinnamon, and other perfumes and sewed it shut. The removed viscera were washed in palm wine and packed in crushed herbs before being placed in canopic jars.
Okay, that was a pretty harsh process to watch. It's just about the beliefs, and they knew about the bacteria and things, and they used the palm wine as anti-agent, like antiseptics. So pretty advanced for the time. Okay, let's see what this thing, what is this? So Maximus embalming knife, Anubis figure. Okay, it has an Anubis figure on the knife, so yeah, it is used to chop the bodies into, like, part the skins and take out the organs and things like that. Okay, New Kingdom, Grand Palace is on. So this knife has a lot of blood on it, like we can see something over here. It could be rust. You never know. Okay, let's continue the tour over this side. What's happening here? I don't know.
Canopic jars were placed close to the sarcophagus or kept in a chest nearby. At first, the viscera were wrapped in tissue and placed in the vases. As the ritual requirements became more elaborate, ointments, spices, and even water and natron were added to the process.
Okay. So these figures are interesting. Like, we see a dog, Anubis. What is this? This looks like a pig. Oh, Miss Piggy from Muppets. It looks like that. This one looks like an owl. I'm not sure about the significance of the animals in this process, like this canopic jars. Okay, let's check out this artwork. So canopic jar has its own canopic box, and the format of the box is pretty much similar. Like, we have seen this box before, and that was being used for carrying cloth, linen cloth for sales and things like that. A similar type of box was being used, made of wood, and a similar way of opening. This looks like kind of less secured, but has thicker walls, maybe to preserve things. It is kind of slightly destroyed here. Okay, we have locks kind of so that the lid doesn't slide off. Okay, so there could be things inside here. What do we have? We have some human figures. I think the faces some kind of human face is drawn here. Not so sure what's happening here. It could be. It doesn't say anything. So it just says kind of big box of King Sabashmaf II, Sikra, 1628 BCE, National Museum of Antiquities, Leiden. So, okay, we can live with that. We don't have any more information. We have Anubis here. Okay, let's continue to the next checkpoint. What do we have? This, we have this figure again and again. I don't know who this is. Maybe this is the local king, the pharaoh.
Towards the middle of the New Kingdom, canopic jars assumed the appearance of the 4 sons of Horus. They were known as the protectors of the viscera. These protectors had their own guardians, each a goddess of the dead. Imseti, the human-headed god, protected the liver and was protected by the goddess Iset. Hapi, the baboon-headed god, protected the lungs and was protected by the goddess Nephthys. Dumut-Ef, the jackal-headed god, protected the stomach and was protected by the goddess Neith. And finally, Kebesenuef, the falcon-headed god, protected the intestines and was protected by the goddess Selket.
Okay. Exactly a few moments ago we were talking about the significance of animals. What do this animal figure represent? So these are specifically for the canopic jars, so they protect different kind of organs. Interesting. This was a kind of interesting information for us. So this is what is this? Is it a 3D render or a real thing? Not so sure. It shows UVI soft at the end, so not so sure. Okay, this is a real thing. The National Museum of Antiquities, Leiden. So the rights have been purchased by Ubisoft, or maybe Ubisoft has the permission to take pictures, so that's why. The canopics of the Da Con She Funk. Hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Okay, so let's continue. So now we know the significance of these heads. They are to protect different kind of organs. Interesting. Let's continue. We are on the other side of the temple now. Here comes the white stuff.
Natron is a naturally occurring mineral found in evaporite. These sedimentary rocks are made up of mineral salts and were generally mined from lake beds in Egypt.
Okay. That's it. Interesting. So this is a real picture. This white stuff, we'll consider it as just as a regular sand. But this is natural salt, like rock salt. So the inner crater of Mount AHCI. Okay. So Natron is a real thing. I thought this is just a fictional stuff that is being named in the game, but this is a real thing, and apparently this can be found today, 2010. So anybody interested in mummifying their body, they have the stuff here rightly available. Maybe you can buy it off on Amazon, maybe. Okay, let's continue. Which way? Over here? Let's see.
Embalmers used natron as a desiccant to dry the flesh and stop the corpse's putrefaction process.
Okay.
Once the body was cleansed and eviscerated, the deceased was covered in natron for about 40 days. Once desiccated, the body was prepared to be wrapped in strips of linen.
Okay. It was used to dry out the body. Let's check out this figure. Wow, this is a real thing, I guess. Could be kind of scary for a few people. So mummy of a woman, Sikra, 2050 BCE. Okay, so this is an actual thing. So actual hand, actual skin and bones. Kind of scary, but interesting. Like it has a million information in here. Interesting. Let's continue. What else?
Once the body was fully desiccated by the natron treatment, embalmers oiled, painted, and sometimes even added hair extensions or a wig. They often used a henna-based antiseptic preparation to give the body a more colorful and lively appearance while preparing it to resist molds and fungi.
Okay, so they kind of decorated like doing an makeup just before the performance for the next world. We had to see the wig. We don't want to hear the narration. So it was just a wig, maybe made out of a hair. So it's okay, we know about that. Let's continue.
Next came the phase which gave mummies their most well-known appearance.
Yeah.
The wrapping. Originally, each part of the body was wrapped separately. Men had their arms crossed on their chests, while women had the right arm folded over their breasts and the left arm stretched along the body. However, techniques evolved over time. Eventually, the body as a whole was wrapped with limbs alongside the body, and increasingly sophisticated and different techniques of weaving flax bands were developed.
Okay, so as per what the narrator said, this mummy in front of us is a woman's body. The hand is going all the way down. Interesting. And let's check out this artwork. I mean the actual photograph. This is the mummification posture from later on, like all the hands are on the sides. Interesting. Let's have a closer look. Come on. So the mummy of a man, 1st millennium BCE. So it's way later than the actual pyramids have started. Like 1 millennium. Okay. So something in French, I guess, and then Grand Palais. Okay. So I don't know if this has been restored a bit, but it looks like it is lacking a lot of bandages around it, the cloth pieces. But we'll have to say it is kind of well preserved. Not so bad. It has all its teeth and the face and things like that are pretty much clearly visible. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, let's continue. Which way again? Over here? Okay.
In addition to the jewelry and amulets arranged on the skin of the deceased, amulets were also carefully inserted into the weaving of the linen strips.
Wow.
Each amulet was linked to a myth or to an ideological belief related to rebirth.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, because it will be adding extra cost. No one wants to spend more money if it doesn't have any spiritual value or doesn't help out in some way for them to come back to life. The amulets of Ptolemaic era, National Museum of Antiquities, Leiden. So these have been wrapped on bodies of people, and they have been taken away and collected in the museum. So kind of creepy again to think about it. So what's happening here? Not so sure. It looks like a panther or a tiger. This looks like a canopic jar. This looks like a pillar of a piece from chessboard. This one too, and here I think 2 people together. Not so sure what's happening here. I think they all represent some kind of gods. Maybe like the gods to preserve different parts of the body, different organs. It could be something about helping them through their afterlife. Not so sure. Let's continue. Okay, which way again, Aya? Over here? Okay. No, we have done this. Okay, over here.
Masks were an important part of a mummy's finery. Early wooden funeral coverings were very expensive, however, and soon replaced by masks created through a technique known as cartonnage. Masks fashioned with this method were created by laying several layers of linen or papyrus pulp on a base made of mud or straw.
Okay.
Cartonnage was used for more than funerary masks. Ornaments and the animal coffins of the late period were also made in such a fashion.
So, like making a statue. Interesting. Like in India, we have god and goddesses statue made temporarily. So the process is kind of the same. Not sure if they are connected. It could be. Let's have a closer look. So this is a cartonnage funerary mask. Funerary mask. So does everyone who attends the funeral wears this, or it's just on the body? Could be anything. The New Kingdom, British Museum, London. It has been kept over there. It looks rigid, so, and also they say that the base was made of mud, so maybe it is placed on the body. Okay, the trustees of the British Museum. So it is stored in the British Museum. No more information that we have over here. We have some hieroglyphics over here. Maybe it's about the body for which the mask is made, but we can't read it. We barely read English. Let's continue. What is this? This looks like a measuring stuff. Maybe they are measuring the amount of gold being placed on this body. Let's learn about it.
Cartonnage evolved to cover the entire body of the mummy during the 22nd dynasty. The mummies were placed on a board inside a rigid envelope of cartonnage, which was laced at the back with a string. Extremely cost-effective and visually pleasing, this technique was very popular through all layers of the society.
Yeah, this is kind of beautiful. So the entire thing is made up with mud cast and linen and things like that, and then decorated heavily, like colored and things like that. Now this is a beautiful piece of work. Like if you see this in a museum, you would be pleased. Let's check out this photograph. The Mummy of Behringer, hope I'm pronouncing the name right, late period, and French words that I can't pronounce well. Hope you, if you guys can read it, you may. Okay, this is one of the... Is it a body? I think it is. This is a body and the mask has broken off. It is kept at the side. And we have bandages on its face. Hands kept here. And there is a mud cast made all top of it. With clothes and linen placed over here. Interesting. So it was kind of a part of the body that you cannot separate or open the body out. You'll have to break it to get the body. Interesting way of doing it. Let's continue. Which way again, Aya? Over here? Okay.
Cartonnage envelopes were usually covered with inscriptions and polychrome decorations specifying the names and titles of the deceased, scenes depicting daily life, or decorations specific to the funerary world. This was a true gift for Egyptologists eager to study the funerary rites of the ancient Egyptians.
Okay, let's check out the artwork. So these are the same things made on a tile, maybe. So scarafagus, a Roman period. Okay, let's continue. We don't have anything to learn here, like we can't understand.
Once the mummy was properly wrapped and adorned, the embalmers proceeded with the ceremony of the opening of the mouth.
Opening of the mouth.
A vital step of the funerary process, this ceremony was meant to bring back to life the deceased themselves, or an object representing the deceased.
Not so sure what does that mean. Maybe the life comes in and goes out through mouth, as per the Egyptian belief. Let's check out this painting. So this is related to the opening of mouth, or just a random funeral, I guess. A funeral procession, Tomb of Perry. Interesting, let's continue.
There were no less than 75 different stages for the opening of the mouth.
75?
It required the application of the same oils, ointments, spices, and perfumes used during the mummification process. Makeup was sometimes part of the process as well.
Wow, these guys took mummification process pretty seriously, like 75 steps. Like even a live person doesn't have that many steps today. Pretty serious. I wonder how much it cost for mummifying a body. Like if a common man could afford mummifying his body. It must be only for the royals and the rich people. It's the model of the opening of the mouth ritual equipment. So these are the equipments. Wow, they look kind of not so family friendly. Okay, let's continue.
The last stage of this long ritual was the act of touching the mouth with the adze to symbolically allow the breath of life to infuse an inert body.
Okay.
Its performance was reserved for a very specific set of people. Priests who wore the mask of the god Anubis, a close relative of the family, or by the heir to the throne.
Okay, so when the body is ready with the mummification process, they used to do the process of this opening of the mouth. And I think these things are the tools that we saw a few minutes ago. few seconds ago exactly, and I think this is the family member. She's crying. The mascara is going bad, and this is the priest, or maybe as he looks pretty small, so maybe this is the air. I have a hard time pronouncing English words. So yeah, this is it guys. I think this is the end of this tour, and this is it for today guys. We'll be back again tomorrow, ending the stream for today. Hope you had fun. You can look back for all my other streams on my YouTube channel. It's just EMINEO number 4J. You can just type that on Google or YouTube. You will find my channel. There are more than 300 videos, I guess, or 200 videos that you can watch if you want to. So bye for today. See you back again tomorrow. Bye bye.